Hello everyone, and let's talk about the Steam Deck, which was just announced this week. It is Valve's kind of answer to the Nintendo Switch, I guess. It is a portable gaming PC, I guess. Is it a PC really? It does run Steam OS. So I did pre-order one. Well, I reserved one. Reserved the 256 gig NVMe version. So it comes in three versions. You've got the base version, which is the 64 gig. It does use eMMC storage. Not the best, really, not the fastest. If you ever bought a cheap laptop or a cheap web book, eMMC, not the best. To be honest, so we went for one of the NVMe storage ones. You can see here that most people pre-ordering the 512 gig NVMe one. Its availability is Q2 2022. Availability here is Q1 of 2022. It does launch, due to launch in December in the US and most of Europe in December. So December technically is Q1 of 2022 if you look at how the financial years work. The fact, no, it isn't Q1, is it? It's Q4, isn't it, of 2021. So Q1 2022 financially is actually April, isn't it? Because the financial year starts in April. So yeah, Q1 2022, Q4 2021 runs to April, technically. Again, I don't know because it does launch in December. So I'm taking it'll be the first quarter of the calendar year rather than the financial year. So you've got the Steam library available on a portable PC gaming device. So it uses an AMD CPU. It uses the Zen 2 architecture plus an RDNA 2. I don't want to restart. Go away, Steam. I want to restart there. Yeah, so you can take your Steam library anywhere. So it will use Steam OS, is what it uses. You can install Windows, which is good. You can install any operating system you want, according to Valve. So hopefully, you can install things like Android if you wanted as well, and use it as a really powerful gaming tablet if you wanted. If you can install Windows, you can use Game Pass with it. I take it, and you can use you don't have to use the Steam Store games if you install Windows. Anything that runs in Windows should theoretically run in this. There's also a dock with it as well, which is nice. That's going to come soon so that you can play with you can hook it up to the TV, which could be interesting. You could use it as a Steam streaming device as well, which would be quite interesting. You could stream to stream the game from your Steam library to your TV. Let's go and steamdeck.com. Let's go head over to there and have a look and see. It won't let me show it. Won't show the tech specs on the Steam store. So yeah, the most gaming power you've ever held, or the most powerful gaming handheld. It's quite a nice looking thing. It does look a lot like a Nintendo Switch. I've got to say, it's got the trackpads, two trackpads there. It does look pretty nice. It does look a nice looking product. It's just Valve doing what Nintendon't, because Nintendo did release the Doom Eternal there. That'll be interesting on the go. You can play it on the Switch on the go though. So let's get in and have a look at this. So you can see the actual hardware. It's going to have a 7-inch 720p touchscreen. It's going to have gyro as well, which most of these handhelds have gyro. You can play Left 4 Dead on it. That'll be quite good. So it's going to have the trackpads as well, like the Steam controller had. So yeah, there you go. There's some dude playing Doom Eternal on it there. So it'd be interesting to see, because Doom Eternal does, there is a Switch version of Doom Eternal. So you can use the trackpad or the analog stick if you want, by the looks of things. There's a mouse there. That's what that dude's doing there. He's playing Doom Eternal there. So that would be quite interesting there to see. So you've got the analog triggers as well, what you would expect. You've got the grip buttons, so you can, I guess, make them whatever you want. Looks like it's going to have a touchscreen display, which you would expect again from this type of hardware. So yeah, a lot of people were disappointed that the Nintendo Switch, the OLED model of the Nintendo Switch, no hardware upgrades. from Nintendo, just an OLED screen. The screen's been upgraded, which is fair enough, but yeah, no Switch Pro, no DLSS, which is a shame. So this does actually have an RDNA 2 GPU. So whether it'll support the AMD Fidelity FX thing that they announced, their equivalent of DLSS, be interesting. It should support it theoretically because you don't need an RDNA 2 GPU. So there is the specs there. You've got a Zen 2 CPU, 4 cores and 8 threads, 2.4 gigahertz, goes up to 3.5 gigahertz. It's got 8 RDNA 2 compute units, which range from 1 gigahertz to 1.6, rated at 1.6 teraflops. So it's somewhere between the Xbox One, the base Xbox One, and the base PS4. Was the base Xbox One not 1.4 teraflops, I think, and the PS4 was not 1.8 teraflops, or was it 2 teraflops? I can't remember exactly, but it's around that kind of power. The 1.6 teraflops that it's rated at. Teraflops not everything, of course. It does have 16 gigs of LPDDR5, so not GDDR5, interestingly enough. RAM there, so that's pretty good. So it's basically double what the PS4 and base Xbox One had. I think the Xbox One X had 12 gigs of RAM, but it's not graphical RAM. It's just because they had GDDR5 RAM, so it's the newer DDR5 RAM, the one that's coming after DDR4, not GDDR RAM. Incidentally, the PS5 and the Series S and X, they have GDDR6, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. So you also get the storage again. It's the eMMC. The base model has the 64 gig eMMC memory, which again is used to tend to find that like low-end web books and low-end laptops tend to use eMMC. The mid-range one, the one I pre-ordered, 256 gig NVMe SSD, and the 512 gig one will have again just a higher capacity SD. They're all going to be PCIe Gen 3, which is interesting. So no Gen 4 there, so it's not going to compete with the PS5 in terms of storage. But to be honest with you, I think that the 256 gig model, I think is enough for me. I think it was £459, was it? Yeah, 459. I think it's a reasonable price. The 3491 will get you by. It depends. I mean, I would imagine it'll be an emulation powerhouse. If you just want it for emulation and playing indie games, the 349 model is pretty good. I think it's pretty decent. But if you want to do things like install Windows and have some run a bit more high end games, and I think the 459 model, I think a lot of people went for the 512 gig model. It should point out that you can expand the storage as well. It does have a micro SD card slot, so you can get like a 256 gig micro SD card. If you're doing things like emulation, I'd imagine it'll do pretty well. Things like Dolphin, I'm hoping do well. Dolphin runs fine on the Nvidia Shield. I have an Nvidia Shield and run Dolphin on that. And GameCube games run fine on the Nintendo Switch, and this is more powerful than a Nintendo Switch. So it'll certainly be able to run Dolphin. It only has a 720p screen. A lot of people were kind of annoyed about that. I think it's 1280 by 800. So it's the 16 by 10 aspect ratio version of the 720p basically. 720p is 16 by 9. So I don't know how it'll play. Most games do support 16 by 10 though. So you'll be able to change and configure the options like any PC game. It does run at 60 hertz, which is fine. I think I don't think you're expecting 120 hertz, anything like that. I don't think it would do it with the hardware there. So 720p. You can adjust the settings if you want better frame rates. You can adjust them. You could run it ultra settings if you're happy with 30 FPS. That's the good thing about that. At least it's not like the Nintendo Switch where you're not given any choice. Or the PS Vita. I still play my PS Vita. That's what I use as my sort of portable handheld ultimate emulation device is the PS Vita. I still use it. It's pretty good, actually. You can run old PC games on it, like Unreal Tournament and Quake 3 and Quake 2. It's pretty good. They actually run strangely well on the PS Vita. And it's a good emulation powerhouse, but I think this is going to replace it, certainly, because we can get GameCube. I waited so long for Nintendo to give us the ultimate portable GameCube. And that's what the Switch should have been. It's technically capable, but it can't do it. You're stuck with Super Nintendo and NES games via the Nintendo Switch Online, which I do have, you know. So, I mean, we have had a few GameCube games that have been sort of ported over to the GameCube and Wii games. Skyward Sword HD was the latest one that's went over. But you've got like Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, Resident Evil 4, that runs on the Switch. But yeah, it'd be nice to have seen a portable GameCube would be the ultimate. I think it will run fine on Dolphin, because like I said, the Nvidia Shield runs Dolphin fine. 720p, 1080p, it's fine. So, and this is more powerful than an Nvidia Shield. Certainly there with the I think it's only got 4 cores. I think it's only 2 cores and 4 threads in the Nvidia Shield. I don't know exactly. I think it is, or it is just a quad core basically. This is 4 cores and 8 threads. So hopefully better CPU than the base Xbox One and the PS4, because they use Jaguar. I think they were 4 cores and 8 threads. AMD Jaguar cores. These are Zen 2, so these are a lot more modern there, certainly. So you get, I think you get fairly decent settings. Apparently, they've also said that it is Bluetooth compatible, so it'll support controllers. Any Bluetooth accessory they're saying, like Bluetooth headsets, things like that, Bluetooth speakers will be compatible. So things like your controllers that use Bluetooth, the DualShock, the DualShock 4, or the DualSense, they're already compatible with Steam Big Picture, those controllers. The Switch Pro controller as well. Again, these are already compatible in Steam Big Picture, so I'd imagine they'd be compatible with SteamOS. Your Xbox controllers will run fine. The 8-bit Do controllers, that runs fine in Steam Big Picture as well. I've had never had any issues with that. So it should support, it says it'll support anything. You can install any operating system you want. You've got a USB Type-C connector, which will connect to the dock. So it's going to support DisplayPort 1.4. So it'll support up to 8K at 60 Hz or 4K at 120 Hz. That'll be interesting to hook it in. It'd be quite good if you could hook it up to your TV via the dock and then stream the games via your gaming PC. I mean, the Nvidia Shield kind of already does that. So it does run SteamOS 3.0, which is it's Arch based, so it's Linux that it uses. There's the dock there that will be coming soon. It's going to have a USB HDMI 2.0, so hook it up to your TV, you'll get 4K 60 Hz. It's going to be USB-C powered by the looks of things. I guess you just plug it in. It's got an Ethernet port, like the Nintendo Switch OLED. So there you go. It's going to have USB 3.1, 2 USB 2.0s. It's got the USB cable that connects to the USB-C cable that connects to the Steam Deck. Is going to be there. I don't know whether it'll just mount in the Steam Deck like a Switch, or whether it'll just attach via cable. It's hard to tell with that. I mean, it looks as if it just sits in it. Just that's the Steam Deck there. That little U-shaped thing there is the Steam Deck, and it looks as if it just sits in there. So USB power delivery pass-through input as well, so you could charge your devices and controllers with it as well. So yeah, it looks a pretty nice device. I mean, I didn't know I wanted a portable gaming PC, but kind of looks just like a Nintendo Switch from the top there. You've got the volume controls, the headphone jack. Oh my god, what a throwback! An actual headphone jack. A device that comes with a headphone jack. That's weird. You've got like the cooling output there for the fan, so that'll just have the heat sink underneath that and the cooling. Because a lot of people complaining about that it's not powerful enough and it's only a 720p screen. I think 720p is fine. It means that games are going to have a good chance of running. Because if you bear in mind the PS4, anything that can run on PS4 or Xbox One it should be able to at least match the performance of that. And it's running at a lower resolution, so it might be able to actually exceed that. And it has a better CPU. So I'd imagine 720p, 60 FPS, medium settings on most games would be doable. We'll test it out, obviously, when I get it. We'll have a go at it and certainly test it out. Might purchase the dock as well, just to have a go at that, just to see how well it runs on the dock. It doesn't say if it runs in a more powerful mode, although it does have a range, although all modern CPU GPUs have a range. So it's an AMD APU, so it'll be like similar to the consoles, but it'll all be on the one system on a chip, similar to the last gen and current gen consoles there. But yeah, it looks like a really nice device. I want it for the emulation capabilities because I think it'll be a beast for emulation. Something to replace my Vita when I'm at work. I'm supposed to be working from home, but I just kind of skive a bit. And I like that. I like that kind of thing. So anyway, that is all for this video. So let me know if you think that this is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. It's a good option to have. Sony never bothered releasing another console, which is a shame. I think that Sony's handhelds were decent. And we've kind of been lacking that because Nintendo kind of just have a monopoly on the handheld gaming console market. You've also got mobile as well. I mean, you guess in theory you could install, they say you can install any OS. You can install Android on this and use it as a tablet as well if you wanted. I'm guessing you could do that. It does have Linux. I mean, Android is a version of Linux. SteamOS is a version of Linux as well. So there is a lot of emulators that are Linux compatible out there as well. I think Dolphin's Linux compatible as well. I know there's an Android port of Dolphin there as well as the Windows, but you can install Windows and just use it as a PC if you want. And then, the game, that's the thing about it, the game compatibility, the amount of games that theoretically you can run on this is pretty damn impressive. There's maybe tens of thousands of games that we could run on this device, and that's what makes it really appealing, I think, to me, is that there's so many games. Nintendo really dropped the ball when it came to their backwards compatibility and their sort of legacy support, I think, on the Switch. And I think this is a good bit of competition. It's nice to have competition in the handheld gaming space, I think, is a good thing. But anyway, that is all for this video. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.